Howdy folks, Zack Perry back here again for part 2 of our Proxmox Helper Script video. Last time we covered what exactly the Proxmox Helper Scripts are, where you can find them. We also covered what kinds of problems they solve in a home lab and a production setup, why they're a great addition to any Proxmox workflow, especially if you're looking to save time, reduce errors, or just avoid Googling some commands over and over again. In this video, we're going hands-on. So we're going to walk through installing a few LXC containers. I know LXC containers were done using the scripts. So we're going to take a peek inside one of the scripts, see what it's actually doing under the hood. And finally, we're going to take a hand at creating a basic helper script myself. When doing the research for this video, I made a short list of helper scripts that were 1, interesting to me, and 2, showed off what exactly these scripts can do. So from 300 plus scripts, we're going to install an Ubuntu 25 VM, Jellyfin in an LXC, file browser Quantum as an add-on, and Proxmox LXC updater. One thing I noticed about a lot of these is that it's going to ask you if you want to do default settings, advanced, use your own config, and more, so you can keep things simple, or you can make your own adjustments to make them a little more advanced. And it's funny because I'm trying to structure these part 2 videos as more of a deep dive, but the point behind these helper scripts is to take the guesswork out, streamline the process of doing a wide variety of things within Proxmox. Starting out with one of the most common things we're going to do on Proxmox, deploy virtual machines. So we'll grab an Ubuntu 25 VM here, and instead of doing the default, let's go through advanced because we want to give it a little bit of extra storage, have it use the host CPU, and a few other things. So this will be similar to going through the way you create a VM in Proxmox normally, except you don't need to pull down the URL or upload the ISO manually. Now you will need to configure a cloud-init image on the VM, but this can be done manually very quickly. You're just going to go to cloud-init in the VM, give it your user, password, regenerate the image, and then start and stop the VM. Then you can actually log in. Next up, Jellyfin, a media system and free alternative to Plex that we've talked a lot before on this channel. All you need to do is copy the script, paste it in the shell, keep things simple, go with the default. It's going to deploy an Ubuntu 24 container, minimum resources. Going to ask if we want to deploy any devices for hardware acceleration, spin up the container, networking, and Jellyfish itself. Then when it's done, it's going to give us an IP if we have DHCP enabled. Now this one I've never heard of until looking into the helper scripts, and that's file browser Quantum. You can deploy this in Proxmox, which is what we're doing, or in a VM container or container to extend its functionality. It provides an easy way to access and manage your files from the web. You can create users, set up permissions, and create links to share with others. I'm a big fan of this one, actually. I think I'm going to keep using it. And the last one we'll cover today is the Proxmox LXC updater. Let's say you have 5, 10, 20, 30, 50 plus VM containers. You know you're going to want to provide routine updates to them. There are a multitude of ways to do this, but with this script, once you run it, they'll present you with all of your containers, and you can choose which you want to update. It'll show you which ones it's updating, its current disk usage, and what updates are being applied, so you're not in the dark on what's being done on each one of them. Now, let's have a peek at one of these scripts to see what it's doing in the background. Let's go back to our LXC updater, click links, source code, and we get a breakdown of all the steps along the way. So at a high level, it's listing containers, lets you exclude certain ones from being updated, starts, stopped containers, runs updates based on the distro, tracks if a reboot is needed, and then it will shut down containers after updating if they were stopped before. Now, the reason I chose this one is because it highlights one of the downsides of automation and things of this nature, and not because of the script itself. It's fantastic. But let's say you have an LXC, it has a 10 gig drive on it, you have it filled to 95%. When you run the script, it has 3 gigs worth of updates. So you apply that, and it could cause issues because you have there's nothing built in to actually say, okay, stop this if it gets to a point where it will fill up your boot drive. Now, if this were me, I ran this, I would say, oh yeah, that's on me for not taking care of my disk usage, things like that. Nothing on the script itself, but that's why I always recommend looking at these things before you deploy them so you can get a full understanding of them. Now, the last thing I was going to do was stumble my way through trying to create my own helper script. My intention was to have it run our Debian setup script so you could have Houston and our modules for checking things like the disks, motherboard modules, on your Proxmox host, manage your ZFS pools, and more. But this was a case of me trying to reinvent the wheel. When I actually sat down, looked at what would need to be done, It's essentially just running our setup script from repo.45drives.com, then install Cockpit and our modules. So nothing too exciting, unfortunately. And that's it for today, folks. So what'd you think? What do you want to see in future videos? If you want to see everything we have on offer, hop on over to store.45homelab.com. Below, you'll find a link to the official Proxmox Helper Script site, along with the links to our socials and the setup script I mentioned. Once again, I'm Zack Perry. Thanks for joining me, and I'll see you all next time.